guys, so we're going to be learning an alternate technique to long layers. So the first technique you learn is long layers, and that's where you have a stationary guide. Everything comes to 180 to the center, both front and back quadrants, comes up like a teepee. We use our mirror to make sure that we're centered at 180, all of those things. We start the haircut with a face frame, just like we would start this haircut with the face frame, unless our client told us they didn't want a face frame, in which case we would start it just as an interior guide. So we're gonna do the same thing on this haircut starting. Our guide is gonna come from the center, only this time, instead of being stationary, we're gonna be traveling. So we're gonna be going all the way around the head. Where I stand in this haircut is also going to matter from the beginning to the end. We're gonna be doing what's called walking the haircut, or going around the world. And we're also going to be cutting from short to long. And I'm gonna show you exactly what that looks like in just a second. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull down my quadrants, and I'm gonna take a half-inch subsection, or half-inch subsection from both quadrants. So I'm gonna come in here, take my subsection down, and then I'm gonna go ahead and just pin this away again, or clip it away. And then I'm gonna do the same exact thing on my other quadrant in the front. A lot of our haircuts that we teach start with a mohawk guide. So this is what this is called. This is a mohawk guide because it runs down the center of the head, usually starting from the front hairline to about the apex. And then you'll have one that runs in the back as well, in your back two quadrants, okay? So I've just cut a face frame on her. Let's pretend. She's in 4 quadrants. I've taken my guide down. Now I'm gonna come in and I have to make sure that I'm cutting short to long. What that means is my short piece is going to be my guide, and I'm gonna be cutting into long hair. What I like to tell my students when I start this haircut, or even long round, which you're gonna learn too, I have to be able to stab my client. Not that I would ever stab my client in the forehead, but my scissors, the blade of my scissors faces my client for the guide, okay? So I'm gonna come in, I'm going to be bringing this hair up to 180 degrees, just like we did last time, which is straight up from the head. I would use the longest piece of my guide my face frame to create my guide. Since we've already cut this hair once already, I'm gonna take it just a little shorter for dramatic purposes so that you guys can see the difference. So I'm gonna take a little bit more. So I'm gonna go ahead and come in here. I'm gonna cut to my second knuckle. I'm gonna recomb that hair, and I'm gonna cut a very definitive guide. Okay. Typically, when you do these haircuts, again, you're gonna already have that face frame. So I'm just gonna go back and make sure that my guide is nice and clean, and it is, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead, for this, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to split this. So I'm gonna go ahead and split my guide in half. I'm gonna go ahead and disperse it back into the quadrant that it came from, okay? So here we go. I'm gonna put it back into that quadrant. So I'm gonna put this side down. I'm actually going to be starting my haircut in her left quadrant, my right quadrant. And there's a specific reason why we do that, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and come over here. I'm gonna actually lower her down just a little bit. Lower my client down as low as she goes, so it's comfortable for me, because again, I'm gonna be pulling that hair up. And then some people have really long hair, especially people that want long layers. So sometimes it's necessary to put them in like a little stool to be able to gather all that hair. So I'm gonna pull down her left quadrant, which would be my right quadrant if I was standing in front of her, but right now we're both left, if that makes any sense. If I was left-handed, I would start on her right quadrant and I would be standing in a different position. And we'll talk about that accordingly, as if anybody's left-handed, we'll talk about that in class, okay? So I'm gonna re-wet this quadrant. I wanna make sure that it's nice and wet. We are working with a traveling guide now, which means that my hair, my subsections are gonna go around the head. I'm taking 1/2 inch subsections depending on the density of the hair and the texture of the hair. So remember, I dispersed that guide into both my front 2 quadrants, so I'm good to go. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm gonna take a 1/2 inch subsection vertically straight down, just like that, okay? And what I like to tell my students is, this is the page that I'm on, so I'm gonna push all this hair, all these pages, or all this hair away, and this is the page that I'm on. This is where I'm cutting. I'm gonna switch to my fine teeth of my comb. I'm gonna go ahead and comb this hair up, straight up to 180. I'm not bringing it to the center. I'm just bringing it straight up. And I want to find that guide that I cut earlier. Now, the trick about here in the front is that you're going to bypass a lot of the face framing. I don't know if y'all can see that in there, but there's a little bit of face framing that you have to bypass. And then you see that guide that you created in the very top. Okay, so I'm going to recomb that just so you can see it one more time. Fine teeth of my comb. Everything comes straight up. There's my guide. And now I cut straight across to my guide. I can reposition my fingers if I need to, but making sure that I'm coming straight up off the head. Okay, so that is my first subsection for this haircut. All right, I've cut that subsection. I want to make sure that I have some of that subsection traveling with me, even though I still have guide coming from the center. So remember, our guide came from the center, and it's also going to come from that previously cut subsection. So what that looks like is you're only going to have about 3 or 4 subsections per quadrant. So what that's going to look like, I'm going to go ahead and comb this down again. I'm going to split that subsection in half. And then I'm going to add a little bit more hair from the next subsection. Push this hair away. Push this hair away, because this is the page that I'm on. This is where I'm cutting. And I'm going to go ahead and pick up this whole subsection right here. I'm going to go ahead and pick it up, switching to my fine teeth. And right now, these are vertical subsections. I'm going to switch back and forth between fine and wide just to make sure I get all my hair. Now I have my fine teeth. I'm going to come straight up. Now, I can see my guide from the center and from the previously cut subsection. Do you see that? Very important that you see both. If for some reason you are doing everything that you think you're supposed to do and you get to the next subsection and you do not see your guide, you need to do one of 2 things. Back up and pick up some more from that first subsection and less from the subsection that you're on, or call your teacher over. Don't cut unless you can see your guide. Absolutely do not cut. All right, so here we go. Straight up, cut to my guide. Just like that, okay? Now, I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing. I'm gonna split this subsection in half, just like I did. Push this hair away. I'm gonna go ahead and comb this hair down. Take a little bit from that next subsection, excuse me. Push this hair away, because this is the page that I'm on. I wanna see it clearly. So I'm gonna come up using my wide teeth just to get all my hair. I'm gonna switch to my fine, because I want it to be nice and clean. Come all the way up. There's my guide, here and here, okay? So important that I can see my guide and that I chase my fingers all the way behind my comb. Super important, okay? There's that. Now, I have one more subsection in this quadrant, okay? I'm gonna do the same thing. Take some of that hair with me, okay? Your subsections are gonna be just a little bit wider as you go. If you feel like you need less, then pick up less, okay? I've picked up a good amount here. I might section that out just a little bit. There we go, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and pull this up with my wide, switch to my fine, chase my comb all the way up. And there's my subsection, or my guide, excuse me. You can see it right there. Oops, sorry. There's my guide, and I'm going to cut to it. And there's a little bit more to cut here, and that's okay. But you always want to make sure that you can see that guide clearly, okay? Now, what I like to tell my students, just to make sure that you're doing things right, is to go ahead and pick up this entire quadrant before you move on. Pick up the whole thing, and we're just going to check ourselves. We want to make sure there's no scragglies, there's a few scraggles here, but they're all coming out. And that's how we check. All right. Now, this haircut is going to continue around the head. So remember when I talked about earlier that we're cutting from short to long? So what that means is I'm cutting from my guide out, right? I have to have a guide in that middle to cut out. I cannot cut from long to short because then I'm not following the guide. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and take some of this hair from this quadrant and I'm gonna pull it out, just like that. And I'm gonna take the rest of this hair and I'm gonna clip it away because we're done. We've already cross-checked that, we're good to go. I'm gonna go ahead and pull down my back left quadrant, or her back left quadrant. I'm gonna wet it. Okay. And I'm gonna continue the same process. I started standing behind her. As I cut this quadrant, I'm gonna end up right around here, maybe a little further back, because I'm walking that haircut, okay? I'm walking this head, I'm going around the world. So I have my guide. Now I'm gonna pick up my guide, plus a little bit of the back, and it's going to create a vertical or a pie section back here in the back as well. I'm going to push this hair out of the way because I'm not cutting that. And now I'm going to comb all of this hair up to 180 degrees or long layers. If that hair falls out, which is very plausible, like this is not going to reach, so I'm just going to let it fall. It's okay. I'm going to come straight up to 180 degrees, and there's my guide. I see it right there, and I'm going to cut to it. I'll reposition my fingers just to not cut past the second knuckle to the best of my ability, and there we go. There's my first subsection for the back quadrant right here, okay? Now, I'm going to go ahead and continue. I'm going to split that in half. I'm going to push that hair forward and pick up my next pie or my next vertical subsection, okay? I'm going to push this hair over because I'm not cutting that right now. This is the page I'm on, or this is the section I'm on. I'm going to use my wide teeth first to collect all of my hair, and then I'll switch to my fine teeth. Now again, that hair is going to fall out below the occipital, and that's fine. Remember your occipital bone? That's what we're talking about. So there's my guide coming from the center. I want to make sure you can see it. And then there it is where I've cut it already, okay? And that's what I'm cutting to, right there. Okay, now I'm going to continue. Same thing. Comb this hair down. I'm going to split it in half. I'm going to push this hair away because I've already cut it. And now I'm going to pick up my next subsection, which is going to be right here. I'm going to push this hair out of the way as well because I've already cut it. Or haven't cut it, excuse me, I don't need it yet. And I'm going to go ahead and pick up this subsection. I know that not all this hair down here is going to reach below the occipital, so I'm not even going to bother with it. Okay? It's just not going to. It's too far to travel. All right, coming up, there's my guide, and I'm going to cut to it. So again, this is a traveling guide long layer haircut. I'm going all the way around the head. All right, so now here I am. I'm in my last subsection of this quadrant. Very last subsection. I'm going to go ahead and pick up some from that previously cut, and I'm going to comb this away just like that. And here's my last subsection. You don't have to take it as thick as this. You can take less, but I like to tell my students to make sure that you can clearly see what your guide is. Okay, if you can't, you might need to back up and add some more hair. Okay, starting with my wide teeth, moving into my fine teeth, coming straight up, and there's my guide, and I'm going to cut to it. Okay, good. All right, so again, I can take this hair and I can comb it all together just to kind of check myself as I go if I really want to. All the hair from the occipital up, just to kind of make sure that I am good, and I am good. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move into my back right quadrant. Now, previously we cut our front two quadrants in our last haircut, and then our back two. This, we actually cut one side of the head, and then we move on to the other side of the head, and we go all the way around it. So if you notice, when I ended cutting this quadrant, I was here. So this is where I'm going to start, then cutting this back right quadrant. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing that I did previously. I'm going to take some of this down, some of this quadrant down, and then the rest of it, I'm just going to clip it away because I'm done. I don't need to keep going back to that, and I don't need it there to confuse me. I just need this piece from that quadrant so that I can move into my next quadrant. And I still have my quadrant that I'm going to be moving into clipped away as well. I'm going to go ahead and pull down this quadrant. Okay. Now there's a few things that I could do besides clipping the quadrants that I've already cut away. There's another thing that I can do, and I'll show you what that looks like here in just a second, in order not to get lost in this haircut, because when you do traveling guide haircuts for the first time, sometimes it can be overwhelming. Okay, so I have a piece from that previously cut quadrant. I'm going to add it into my first subsection in my back right quadrant. Now, let's say this is really confusing me and I don't like having it down. I can absolutely clip this away. If I wanted to clip that away and get it out of the way and just focus on whatever subsection I'm on at a time, that is totally fine. I'm not one of those people, but I do have students that are like that. They enjoy that. That helps them a lot, you know, as they're learning. So feel free to do that too. All right, so I'm going to comb this up The hair from the occipital's fallen out. There's my guide. I can clearly see it, and I'm going to cut to it. Okay, all right. Now I'm not going to continue clipping this away because that's just not how I roll, but again, if that's something that you enjoy doing, it helps you, please do it. I'm going to take some of this hair with me. I'm going to comb this away. You can also clip that away if you wanted to. And I'm going to take my next subsection down. I like to just comb the hair away. It helps me a lot. Notice I'm moving around this head, okay? I started here, now I'm all the way over here, okay? I'm walking that haircut, going around the world. So here, I'm gonna go ahead and pull all of this hair up. And if you need to take smaller subsections, that's fine. The downfall of taking too small a subsection is you can get lost easily. So be very careful. There's my guide right there. And I'm gonna cut to it. Reposition my fingers 180 degrees, find my guide, and I cut to it. Okay, same thing. And we're just gonna continue this pattern all the way around the head. I'm gonna comb this down. It helps me to comb it down. It may not help you. If this part doesn't help you and you just wanna keep it nice and sectioned away, then do that, okay? If you have to just see that subsection that you're on and you can't see anything else, then that's what you need to do, okay? It helps me to recomb and resubsection. All right, so here we go. I'm all the way almost to the front of the head, not quite. Coming up, looking for my guide. There it is, and I cut to it. Straight up, 180 degrees, looking for my guide. There it is, and I cut to it, okay? Now I'm on my last subsection in this quadrant. So I'm gonna go ahead and take some of that hair with me. Well, I would say second to last. Here we go. I'm gonna comb this hair up. 180 degrees. There's my guide. I cut to it. In a haircut like this, if for some reason you're cutting along and you're trucking and then, I don't know, you start talking to your friend or you stop and go to the bathroom and then you have to come back, or you just get confused in the middle of it, call your teacher over. Please do not start cutting into the abyss. Like, oh, I hope I'm right, you know, kind of thing. You want to make sure that you call your teacher over. That's why we're here, to kind of help you back up and find out where you got lost. Last subsection, there's my guide, and I cut to it, 180 degrees. Okay, very good. All right, so I'm done with that quadrant. I'm gonna do the same thing. If you want to cross-check your quadrant, go for it. For the sake of the video, I'm just gonna move forward. Done with this, but I do wanna take some of this with me to the next quadrant because I need it, right? I do have guide in this quadrant still, but I like to keep some of this guide with me. It's just gonna help me. It's better to have too much than not enough, okay? So, clip that away. Now, I'm going to, she's shedding a whole lot. I'm going to end up in the front right quadrant. Only this time, I'm gonna end up facing her. So, I'm gonna review what that looks like. I started here, and I cut from short to long, and I backed around the head as I went, cutting my long layer, okay? And this is where I ended, right here. I'm gonna go ahead and wet this down. Okay. And notice I'm facing her now. First subsection, I still have a little bit of hair from that back subsection. It's coming with me. I'm gonna comb this straight up. Okay, find my guide. There it is. And I'm going to cut to it. Straight up, 180, cut to my guide, okay? Now I'm gonna split that in half. Again, this is the page I'm on. If you need to clip this away, you need to clip that away, please do it. Okay, I'm gonna come up, fine teeth of my comb, straight up, 180, find my guide, and I cut to it. 180, find my guide, and I cut to it, okay? Next subsection, do the same thing. Comb it down, take some of that hair with me, push this hair out of the way. Next subsection, push this hair out of the way. Again, if you need to clip that away, clip it away. Let's see. Fine teeth. Everything comes straight up 180. There's my guide, and I cut to it. Okay. And we'll split this down maybe 2 more times. Here, push this hair away. Pick up hair for my next subsection. Push that away. And then we come straight up 180 degrees. Find my guide, and I cut to it. The more of these haircuts you do on your mannequin, the more layers you'll be able to create in her. A lot of these mannequins come with chemical layers, just from the chemical processing that they have done. So your first few haircuts may be disappointing because you won't have a whole lot to cut in the back, but eventually you will. All right, wide teeth of my comb, fine teeth of my comb, last subsection. Bypass that face frame area to my guide, and I cut. If you're worried about starting that first subsection or ending this subsection, call your teacher over. That's what we're here for again, okay? All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull down all my quadrants. Just gonna wipe my hand off real quick. So another good reason to have a towel handy, just to get all my hair off of my hands and my comb. I'll pull these clips down as well. And I'm gonna comb her down. And I'm just going to do the same cross-checking that we did for her other long layers, okay? So I'm gonna come in here on the very top, and I tell my students it's either, you wanna take like a crown or like a square up here, incorporating the front and the back quadrants. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you wanna have some structure to what you're picking up to cross-check these together, okay? So we did this straight across, so I should be pretty straight across, and I am. Got some flyaways there. Good. I can tousle her out and just kind of look at her layering in the back. And again, remember, you can check your quadrants as you go, just like we checked them. I showed you how to check your quadrants as you go along. Okay, so before you call your teacher over to come check your haircut, always make sure you cross-check each quadrant and cross-check your entire haircut. Time for a good blowout.